Welcome to this short video for long-term care preceptors. This is the second video out of a 5-part series for preceptor education. This short video will cover the concepts of leadership and professionalism, which are vital to the role of the preceptor. As a preceptor, you have an important leadership role in your organization and in the nursing profession. For many students, their first impressions of a sector will determine if they decide to come back once they graduate. We want to recruit as many nurses to long-term care as we can when they graduate or in their future career paths. It's important to provide a positive experience of the challenging yet rewarding sector long-term care is. Also, you as a preceptor set the tone for providing a positive learning environment for not only students, but new staff. This is important to ensure that your organization is welcoming for everyone. We will be using the RNAO Developing and Sustaining Nursing Leadership Best Practice Guideline to frame our discussion. In the leadership model we see here, I'm going to focus on the middle ovals in the model, which are the 5 transformational leadership practices, and apply them to your role as a preceptor. I myself have been a preceptor in a long-term care home and in other settings in the past, and have found to be a very rewarding experience. Using these 5 practices will help build a positive experience both for you and your student. Transformational leadership is fundamental in the creation of a healthy work environment. These 5 practices have been shown to have a positive effect in outcomes of residents, nurses, and organizations. In today's healthcare environment, nurses often find themselves in leadership roles like that of a preceptor. However, many nurses may not have had formal training. In this presentation, I'll talk about each leadership practice and provide examples of how you can apply each to your preceptor responsibility. Trust between a preceptor and a student is key to a successful placement. Time is needed at the start of the preceptor-student relationship to build trust and confidence in each other. In your first meetings with your student, use this time to get to know each other and establish expectations. From the student perspective, the student needs to meet certain goals and objectives to pass their clinical placement. Take time to go over the learning plan. Find out what your student needs and wants to learn. Find out where their strengths and areas for learning are, and provide them with the opportunity to express any concerns or apprehensions they have. For some students, this may be their first time in a long-term care home. From the preceptor experience, express some of your expectations in order to have a safe and successful clinical placement. As a preceptor, it is understandable to want to reduce the risks of mistakes or missteps. You may want to express to your student that it's important that they ask questions if they're unsure about something, and that they should not attempt a procedure if they have not done one on their own before. You may want to make a list of some of your expectations ahead of time so that you don't miss anything when you meet with your student for the first time. Trust is a two-way street, and open and honest communication is important to building that trust. When we think of the building blocks of trust, they are the same values we need when building trusting relationships with our fellow colleagues. At the heart of those values is fairness and respect. Literature has shown that when students feel respected, there's usually more satisfaction in their placement, which will lead to less stress and better outcomes. Ways to show respect include being friendly, supportive, and utilizing participatory decision making. Be positive throughout the placement experience. I know that having a student can be stressful, especially if you have a full workload during COVID and with staffing shortages. But this is where we can, as a profession, show our strength to new nurses and model the incredible dedication that nurses exhibit every day. Be visible and available to your student for questions and support. And always remember to acknowledge when they do a good job. This helps to build their confidence. As a preceptor, there are many ways to create an empowering work environment for your student. Start the clinical placement by showing your student where they can find information, such as policies and procedures, manuals, and guidelines. Another great resource, other than yourself, is your colleagues. When reviewing their learning goals, identify if there are nurses or interprofessional team members that would enhance your student's experience. Find opportunities by looking to pair up your student for half a day or full day with individuals who match their interests. If your student is interested in becoming a nurse practitioner, you can pair them up with either an attending or visiting NP. If they are interested in learning how a long-term care home is run, you can pair them up with an ADOC, DOC, or administrator. I personally, as a former DOC and administrator, really enjoyed spending a few hours with new students to share my knowledge and experience with them. You can pair your student up with a BSO nurse or a wound care nurse. These are all opportunities to support both your students' growth and provide opportunities for your colleagues to share their wealth of knowledge and experience too. A key step in creating a culture that supports knowledge development and integration is encouraging a continuous inquiry approach. Having students in our long-term care homes brings new perspectives. Encourage your students to ask a lot of questions. Just because we've done things the same way forever doesn't mean it's the best approach. Students are a fountain of new ideas and new perspectives, which can lead to positive quality improvement opportunities. We don't want to stifle their curiosity. We want to embrace and encourage it. Involve the students to participate in professional team activities and be part of quality improvement committees and projects. Encourage your students to read and understand evidence-based practice guidelines and implement them as part of their experience. Get involved in all phases of the student placement and take time for status reviews and completing evaluations. It is important to demonstrate your commitment to helping your student meet their learning goals. Each day is a balancing act. Adding a student is more responsibility and more complexity to your day. One of the key skills that we as nurses have is the ability to prioritize and adapt. As you are planning the day for you and your student, keep in mind that it can be overwhelming. Include the student in that planning. Ensure you have sufficient time throughout the day to debrief your students. Debriefing is a good time to discuss outcomes of decisions, utilize ethical frameworks to assist with decision making, and to seek input. I found that there are many times that I've learned just as much from my students as I hope they have learned from me. It is a positive reciprocal relationship of learning and growing. As a preceptor, it's your responsibility to know and understand the attributes of professionalism. Always think about the role model, think about and role model ethics and values of the profession. There are times when we ourselves or our colleagues have negative feelings about different aspects of nursing. This is normal. There are always parts of our job that we like and don't like. When mentoring new students, sometimes negative comments are voiced to discourage new nurses. It is important to create a positive learning environment and address negative comments in a constructive manner. We all want to recruit nurses not only to our profession, but also the long-term care sector. Encourage a positive attitude amongst the team. The ideal environment for your student to learn and grow is a positive environment. The College of Nurses has many resources that can support your growth and learning as a preceptor, which include the nursing professional standards. Feel free to review and the professional standards on the CNO website. Lastly, as a preceptor, self-reflection is an important role in your growth and improvement. At the end of each day, ask yourself some of these questions to determine next steps to improving your skills as a preceptor. Are there any knowledge gaps that I need to read up on? Were my conversations with the student positive and encouraging? How can I create opportunities for the student to gain new skills or experiences? After you've asked yourselves these questions, take some notes and find ways to improve for the next day. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. There are 4 other videos in this 5-part series. Feel free to review them on the RNAO website and share them widely with your colleagues. Thank you.